Hey everyone, we're going to talk about section 2 of chapter 15, volume of cones. EQ, how is the formula for volume of cones similar to volume of pyramids? Well, you can see it's not just similar, it's exactly the same. So although this is not a pyramid, the formula for volume functions the same way. This is in fact a cone. And so you can then come to the conclusion that a cylinder with the same base and height, three cones would fit into that cylinder, just like your pyramid and your prisms, okay? So it is 1/3 the base area times the height. And let's get started. Again, reminder, this is a 8th grade content, so we use the pi button now, okay? So you actually need to use the pi button, not just punch in 3.14 for pi, okay? So example 1, finding the volume of a cone. Round your answer to the nearest tenth. The diameter is 4 meters, so then we would know that the radius is 2, okay? So volume equals 1/3 base area times height. Volume is 1/3. The base is pi r squared times height, right? Because the base is a circle. That's the formula for area of a circle. So this is equal to 1/3 times pi times the radius squared times the height. Again, don't just use the numbers that are given to you here because that is the diameter, all right? 1/3, 2 squared is 4, 4 times 6 is 24. So this is 1/3 times 24 times pi. 1/3 of 24 is 8. So in terms of pi, it's 8 pi, and this is about 25.1 meters cubed, okay? So very, very similar to what you have been doing. The big difference is we're going to use your pi button on your scientific calculator. So you have a scientific calculator here. You could use, the scientific calculator of your phone, the Big Ideas scientific calculator. Google a scientific calculator, whatever you need to do, okay? And then it steps it up a little bit of a notch by finding the height. So you have to do some kind of algebra skills. So volume equals 1/3 base area times height. Here's your cone. Our height of the cone is unknown. The volume is given. So I know that it's 956 is equal to 1/3 pi. The radius is 9, so 9 squared, and then the height is unknown. So 956 is equal to 1/3. 9 squared is 81 pi h. 956. 1/3 of 81 is 27 pi h. Divide both sides by 27 pi. Kind of in like what we talked about in the last section. This is when scientific calculators get really, really handy because you can tell it to follow order of operations. So I can tell it 956 divided by, and then I can group my 27 pi. Okay, and that's equal to 11.27. So my height is about 11.3. So the height is about 11.3 feet. Again, if you don't have your scientific calculator or know how to make it function and follow order of operations, just take 27 and multiply it by pi on your calculator, and then just take, 4 or 5 digits past the decimal to divide, and then you should be just fine, okay? All right, here's a few problems for you on your own, just like example 1 and 2. I'd really love it if you paused it and gave these two a try. Okay, so hopefully you have paused it. All right, the answer to number 1, the volume was or is 180 pi, and that is about 565.5 centimeters cubed. Question 2 is asking you to find the height, 96 over pi, and you get about 30.6 yards. Hopefully you did an okay job on those two. If not, try them again. Rewind the video. All right, let's look at number 3. We've been playing a lot of games in my house lately, so hopefully you guys are finding things to do, and maybe you have a little timer, a sand timer in one of your games. I know we do. So let's look at this question. It says you must answer a trivia question before the sand in the timer falls to the bottom. The sand falls at a rate of 50 cubic millimeters per second. When you see that word rate, you guys should be thinking proportion. You'll probably be writing a proportion. How much time do you have to answer the question? Okay, so use the formula for volume of a cone to find the volume of the sand in the timer. So here's your cone right here. Okay, let me get to my correct page because I have it all worked out already. Volume is equal to 1/3 base area times height. Volume is equal to 1/3. Again, the base is the area of a circle, pi r squared, times height, 1/3 times pi. And we're going to use this right here because we're only trying to find the volume of the sand, which is this part right here, not the whole glass part of the timer, okay? So the radius is 10 squared and the height is 24. So then we can work this out. 1/3 pi times 100 times 24. 1/3 times 100 times 24 works out to about 800 pi. And this is the volume of the sand in the timer, okay? And so when we multiply this by our pi button, you get about 2,513 millimeters cubed. So that is how much sand is in your timer. Now, we know that the sand falls at a rate of 50 cubic millimeters per second. Okay, so we have our 2 units. We have seconds over our cubic millimeters. It's 1 second in 50 cubic millimeters. And then our sand, we have how many seconds in the 2,513 cubic millimeters. Solve your proportion. 50x is equal to 2,513. Divide both sides by 50. X is equal to 50.26. So you can say it's about 50 seconds. It's about 50 seconds that you have left to answer the question. Excuse me. So again, it's very similar to what you've been working on. Use the pi button. That's the expectation when you get to 8th grade, and this is 8th grade content. Same formula as your pyramids, but you are now working with cones. Okay? Hope that helps.